another set. Well, this one's probably not as complicated as we have just worked on with the Virginia Christmas Spectacular. Ooh. This one's going to be a little more simpler. We're working more with dance studios and with middle schools, and do we have any high schools? Yes, we do. One. Anyhow. So we're back to doing this. So as an introduction, the professor has me doing the introduction for what's coming up. Monochromatic colors. So how does that have to do with working on sets? Well, I'm actually working on a spaceship, and it's all one color. I'm going to be using just basic color and then using black and white. Now I know that he's talked about not using black and white, but this is a little different. We're working on sets which are completely temporary. Black and white can be used because they're only going to be used for just a short time, and on top of that, you're only going to see a distance of it up close by 40 feet minimum. I mean, that's as close as you're going to get. You're not really having to work on trying to match these colors and mix your blacks and make them look really good, because it's not something permanent. If it was, that would be a little different story. You want to make it as realistic as possible. Not that I'm saying that we can't make it look realistic with black. Yeah, it's just back and forth contradictions. Anyway, Professor is going to kind of lecture a little bit about what's going on while I work on this, kind of getting it ready for production. And we're going to kind of go from there and build up from that. But you're going to actually see how using only one color can be used effectively in whatever you're trying to produce. Be it a mood, underwater, in a fire, trying to present something dark, or something very light. But you'll see how these all work out, and how working in monochromatic sometimes can be easy, like working in pencil, but also can be somewhat complicated when you're really trying to create a image. Is it really that important? Most likely not. I mean, if you know what you're going to draw, you know what you're going to paint, and you want to be in monochromatic, you can. But if you're trying to create an image, or not an image, but an emotion, and you're trying to capture that, understanding how to use monochromatic color can help. And on top of that, if you're using a monochromatic color, if you can bring a color from the opposite end, meaning it's complementary color, and you add an accent to it, it makes it look a lot more dynamic. Anyway, we're going to be going over all of that on this episode of Monochromatic Color. Color, yes, just one color. Mono meaning singular, chromo, color, singular color. And using that. This will also give you a good example of, or a good example of what, or how black is not a color, nor is white. It just basically enhances, makes the color look brighter.
For more awesome content, like and subscribe now. Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. Smash like.
It's only one color. That's a lot of money for only one color.
To one in color.
That color. I would only need one color for that picture. What color is that?
One color.
That color is beautiful.
Interesting color.
Well, color me pleased as punch.
Oh, no, see, now that is an interesting color.
It's a beautiful midday. Perfect analogy for monochromatic. As you can see, the sky is very blue. Now, in a lot of places in California, this is perfect. As a matter of fact, a lot of people in California like this kind of weather. Blue skies, blue skies, blue skies. Summer, winter, fall, spring. That's not for me. The weather like that for me is like having vanilla ice cream for the rest of your life for dessert. Boring. I like the seasons change. But look at the sky itself. It's extremely monochromatic. And in this example that I'm using in monochromatic, we can start off with something just like this. You can actually look at the sky, and if I were to put a thermometer here, I'm not going to, but if I could, and I showed you the temperature as being hot, 100 degrees, you would believe that was hot. If I drop the temperature down to like 32 or maybe 27 or below, you'd believe that because you have no reference. The sky is just blue. That's it. It's just blue. And my dad used to show me skies like this. He goes, whatever you do, skies, never put clouds in. And he was a great guy. But he never had any kind of formal training, so he never really learned how to do clouds and work with them. That's a whole different story altogether. And yeah, I miss him. But anyway, back to sky. Sky can be as simple as we're looking at right now. And you can leave it as simple as you want, like this, without having anything on there. And you may want to keep it just very simple and just hardly anything at all on there. And that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Of course, you can also do the same thing with a sunrise and sunset, except you're going to be pushing more into analogous because you're going to start using more of the blues and purples and trying to break the light up in there and bring that up. And at the end of the day, you're pushing more of the reds and oranges. And so now you're becoming more analogous as opposed to monochromatic. Middays are going to basically be monochromatic because your light's coming straight down from you and you're just not really seeing a big variety of that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. You may want to show a daytime where it is absolutely just a wonderful, clear blue sky. Another example of using monochromatic is an underwater scene. You remember the sea dreamers that I showed you? That's definitely monochromatic, and you're using only one color because as you get deeper into the water, it tends to diffuse. Remember the illustration I showed you with Ken Marshall and the Titanic? Here's some of his work again. This is very monochromatic because it's underwater and light gets refracted. You're not seeing many of the colors down below, so you're going to want to have a tendency to just use your monochromatic colors to keep everything cool. You can also use a monochromatic to create heat, yellow, warmth. Remember what I showed you with Van Gogh's sunflowers. They're analogous, but they're pushing toward the monochromatic feel. So again, using only one color, you can create a feel. You can create what you're working with. And this is where we're starting to push into the emotional side or the pulling those feelings in that area of art. You not only want your work to show a story, but you also want to invoke a feeling, even if it is an illustration. You want to pull that, and pushing and knowing how to use those colors is going to be a big factor in what you're trying to create in your images. It takes practice. Here's another example using monochromatic, but in an abstract feeling. Try to create something, an emotion, love, resentment, hate, anger, laughter, depression, without using any of the cliches and just use color. You're going to find it's extremely, extremely difficult. It's hard to really push those colors, and you can use colors to create a feeling of love using softening those colors in a monochromatic field and pushing that color around and making it come to life in just one color and using that. Now, here's the other thing about using a monochromatic color. The number one thing that a lot of the students or beginners will want to do is they will take their monochromatic color and mix black with it and push it with white. What you're going to want to do is whatever monochromatic color you're using, whatever singular color, always use the complement and a little bit of the split complementary, which you're going to get more of a black. That will make your image look a lot more interesting. It gives it more, for lack of better words, flavor. Again, stay away from that black. Force yourself not to use black. Once you get into the idea, or once you get into the habit of that, you'll find that you won't be leaning on that black as much as you think you're using it, or as much as you think you need it. You won't, because you're going to want to push and experiment and work with that color. And this is why this episode is so important in trying to get an idea of working with a monochromatic color. So you're going to use that, and then at the same time, you're going to kind of pull in some other colors to mix. Like for instance, let's use blue. If you're going to use blue, and I keep leaning on blue because that's my favorite color, I'm going to use the orange as the complement to be able to neutralize that color. It will turn to a gray, and then I can use a white to either lighten it or darken that and move that around. If I really want to get into a gray, then I'm going to be pulling in a purple, or I'll be pulling in a little bit of a green and mixing those in there. Not that those colors get revealed, but that I'm using that color to be able to neutralize it, push it down. Now, in this episode, understanding how to push and pull just one color will enable you to be able to move other colors around, and you'll be able to push, neutralize, shift, and move the direction of the color in which way you want them to go. What am I hearing? Oh, all right. Here's a good example. Now, take this blimp coming in, for instance. All right. Now, it's pretty much analogous, but take a look at those colors. They're soft, neutralized. They're just very warm, almost romantic. Okay? But if those colors were just raw and stark, again, nothing wrong with that. That balloon would just blimp would just be boom, really in your face. Now, if that's what you want, that's great. But this is just an example of how to use that to create that idea of softness. Hot air balloon coming in. Okay, it's got the greens. But that green is very rich. My wife's favorite color. AJ3, green. Okay? But you can see how these colors are neutralizing. They become more muted in intent. They become more muted, and with that, they become more realistic. Thank you. Tongue-tied. Trying to get everything all out at once. All right. So, using these colors and trying to create that sense of realism, you'll neutralize that. And that's what you're working on here in these monochromatic fields. Like, monochromatic is good. It also trains you to be able to push other colors, push them and pull them, and knock them over one way and push them in another way and do all that other stuff that you need to get going with, okay? I guess they're heading out. I love blimps. Blimps, you can't be sad around a blimp. You really can't. Same thing with a hot air balloon. Always happy and just kind of floating around. Just, oh, kind of cool. Anyway. So, what else can we go into? Let me think. Monochromatic color tends to be a challenge when you're trying to create a mood. And some people, it's going to find that it's very easy because, hey, I'm only limited to one color, so I don't have to move it around. But they will find this easy because they're using black and white as opposed to neutralizing color and working that. So working with a monochromatic color correctly can get you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Frustrated, I guess. Excuse me, because you're trying to create something that isn't really there. You're trying to create something using only just that one color. But again, here's another thing that I can probably tell you. Is it really important, as I think I've said earlier, that you have to know what monochromatic is and analogous? No, but I should say it's not that you're trying, not that you don't know, or not that you're trying to create something that is like, oh, well, this guy really knows his color and knows what he or she is doing. It's a way to make the person tug on their heartstrings, or tug at their anger, or make something happy. Because you now become the control person over the viewer because of what you're doing in monochromatic or analogous colors, neutralizing, pushing. 9 times out of 10, if you look at a painting and you see something you either like, dislike, it's the color. It's how the artist has been able to manipulate your feelings through color. That's the whole practice of understanding monochromatic and analogous color and trying to get these colors to work and move and push. We get stifled when we first, as a child, learn about colors, and we end up using just the raw crayons, and so we end up using raw color. But now, if you can, try to train yourself to neutralize colors, and this is where it becomes difficult. So if this is the first time for you to actually work on color and do color, then you're going to find that it's a lot easier. I got another balloon coming in. That's AJ7. He's on his way back from coaching. So,
My cakes. There you are. I'm done. I'll meet up with you by our balloon.
Smokes? Oh, isn't he so adorable? I'll see you soon, my love.
2 little lovebirds. Yeah, they're very much in love with each other. And there they go. Okay. Anyway, as you can see in these colors here, AJ7, AJ3, and the pumpkin balloon he's in are a lot brighter, and it becomes more exciting, and it becomes more, what's the word I'm trying to say? It becomes more, well, bright, and you gravitate toward it a lot more. Let's use an example. For instance, Nuffy. Hey. What was that? Yeah, hi. Hey, listen. The Emerald City. Was that FDA? No. Oh, that was Brookville. Yeah, Brookville High School. Gosh, that was some time back. But yeah, that's a good example of monochromatic. Okay, what about Kansas? That one, was that FDA? No, that one was FDA. Or excuse me. Yeah, that was FDA. Okay, yeah, so I was right. I think it was Brookville, right? FDA. And that one is in just SEPA. Although brown, it's still monochromatic, but that was done for the Wizard of Oz. And so I did those two, so you can see the two differences on those. Yeah. Oh, I know one you could show them. Show them the owl. It's not monochromatic. I think that's a good example of showing how black and white's not excellent in monochromatic. It's because they're not exactly colors. So, yeah, show them that one too. Yeah, I get back to work. The thing that I'm showing you here, let me show you. Okay, so here, this is Emerald City, and this was done for Brookville. This one here, you can see, is Kansas, and that was done for FDA. They've been done so many times, it's kind of hard to remember who went where and what went when. But look at the two. Now, the sepia one, which is Kansas, these are neutral colors. Remember, brown is not on the color wheel. It's in the center, mixing colors. Now, did we mix colors for those? No, we had to pull them out of a can. We had to have a mix because it's a set. But it's giving you an idea. And we've also used some other colors to mix in there to push and pull those browns and lighten them and darken them and push and pull them. Look at the green on Emerald City here. Well, this one was done for Brookville. This Emerald City, even though it's all green, is bright, it's rich, it's warm, it's vibrant. But they're in the monochromatic field. I'm making them feel like you want to be there. This one looks like it's run down and old and you're trying to get that feel. But you can see using monochromatic colors, I'm pushing and pulling two different feels or two different feelings that I'm trying to evoke onto that person, basically onto the audience. And it becomes very successful. This is bright, elegant. You kind of want to be there, right? Here it's, do I really want to hang out here? Or better yet, you can see that it's run down. It's a working farm. Things are falling apart. It's not really a rich feeling of a place where you're going to be basically wanting to hang out, all right? Now, what if we flip those colors? I used that example before. Remember, I talked about Sea Dreamers, and then I talked about the artwork for the USC-UCLA game. What if you flip the colors? Well, let's do the same thing here. What happens if we flip those colors back and forth? We turned it bright green without changing anything else, just change the colors. And then made this kind of dull. You wouldn't want to be here. You would want to be there. Using the green. Remember, green represents life. It represents a lot. It's cool. It's rich. It's refreshing. Brown is kind of dirty. It's just kind of, just there. That's all it is. And in doing that, you really are invoking some feelings. Now, I could even go further with this one here in sepia and really push some darker colors. I could even go into the analogous side and add more of those darker blues, even greens. I could neutralize the greens to a dull green, and that really makes it look even more worn down. Here I could take browns and I could brighten them up and really make them pop. As long as the brown, or excuse me, as long as the green is stronger than the brown, I'm using the brown as a highlight. See how I'm pushing and pulling these colors, and you can see how the idea of using analogous colors tend to push and pull. And this is leading up to what we're going on the second half of this episode, second half of the season, is going to be understanding your paints. We're going to start getting into paints. We're going to start getting into acrylics. We're going to get into oils. I'm going to start talking about them, their textures, their grades, color fastness. We're going to start getting into that because next season we're going to be talking about painting techniques. So color theory goes hand in hand with your paints that you're going to be using. Your watercolors, your acrylics, your oils, pastels, even color pencils. How to create those images using colors on top of another to create that image illusion that those colors really aren't there, but the eye is mixing them together. That's why this is so important. It gets better and better as we go along because we're not working on the technical stuff. But for those of you who are really true artists that really want to learn something, this here is going to be something that you're going to want to learn. You're going to want to understand the core of the arts. That's what all this is about. You don't learn this in school. Schools still have that idea that art is a fun thing. It is, but if you're looking at it for a career, you're going to have to understand how these colors work. You're going to have to understand when to push color, when to push back, when to be able to utilize certain colors and create these things. For instance, right behind me, the daylight has been turning to twilight subtly. The moon has come out, and as I've been talking to you, the colors have been changing. The mood is different. To some of you, you were very observant to seeing the background change. To others, you weren't even aware of it because you were either focused on what I was talking about or maybe waiting to see what might be coming up next. You may have been aware of the colors changing, but also, you were also feeling a sense of a change in mood. You were feeling a sense of there's more variety in the sky. Whoa. Those clouds are looking way exciting, wouldn't you say? But of course they are. And so you're looking at those in a way that you weren't thinking about before. Got an idea. I'm going to step out real quick. Just take a look at the colors and just enjoy them for a couple of seconds. See what I'm talking about? Just enjoying something as nice as that. You know, you can kind of reflect on it. And that's something that I have created. That's digital art behind me. That's something that I created there. That using those colors to shift the mood from the time that we started to where we are now. Now, again, we are talking about monochromatic color. But we also talked about analysis color. And then before that, we talked about how colors mix and how they work. With all of that going on, you know, you kind of get a chance to see how you're affected by colors. So see, just drawing is one step. You might be a great illustrator. You might be a great technical drawer. But if you want to elevate yourself to another level in the painting, then you have to understand color. A good example of that is this. When
Hello,
I started,
Professor.
Well, hello.
Babe. He's working right now. He can't be bothered. I'm so sorry, Professor. She really means well.
No, that's fine.
But I just want to say hi, babe. He's always working, and he never takes a break.
Where are you off to?
We have no idea. Wherever the clouds take us. And as long as we're together traveling...
As long as you're together and traveling around. Got it. I know the feeling. Yeah.
Goodbye. We love you so much. Take care, please. Oh, take Elisa out.
It's an idea.
You both need it.
I love you guys too. Bye. Have fun. Must do it great. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about color. Okay. We were talking about how color emotes that feeling. Mastering or understanding how to just create that one color and be able to push it and pull it through back and forth and create that sense of feeling of a person looking at your image and you're trying to capture that emotion with that is a strong ability to evoke a feeling of anger, love, hate, happiness. You can also do it without color, for instance, and even representation. Take Pablo Picasso's Guernica, right here. Black and white, okay? Not monochromatic because these two are colors. But look at this. This image was a protest to the Nazis bombing the small village of Guernica with an experimental poisonous gas. And Picasso did this painting, well, Hitler was so angry that he offered the Iron Cross to whoever could take him out. Art's powerful. It really is. It can really turn around and anger leaders. Well, even the Chinese leader today, he banned Winnie the Pooh because a lot of his people were saying he looked like him. Okay? See what I'm saying? Artists have a strong power, and that's exactly what we're going to be working on this episode. So let's head over to the studio. Hey, I said it right. I didn't trip over my words. Nice. Let's head over to the studio and see if we can't start mixing a little bit of those colors. You're starting to learn that art and being an artist is a powerful, powerful tool. So I'd say we just bounce out over there and start working on monochromatic color and see what we can come up with, huh? Ooh, it's exciting times. Monochromatic. Love it. In the studio. All right. Well, here's the deal. Spent a lot of time lecturing, so we're going to kind of go through this, not rush through, but we're going to kind of go through it pretty quick. And here's the reason why. Monochromatic color is just a demonstration in this episode about how to utilize these colors. It was more important of the lecture to understand the feeling and working with it so that you get a better understanding. Now we're going to apply this. But we're going to show you how it works and how to mix these colors instead of using black and white. You're going to be using white, but not so much the black because there's going to be no black on this. All right, so again, my colors. I have my purple here, yellow, red, blue, and my white. And I'm only using the primary colors. Remember what I said. The primary colors you must use all the time. It's a must. If you go into your work and you're starting without the primary colors, you're already going to start off on a wrong foot. Primary colors are the first thing you have to do. Analogy again. It's equivalent to getting in your car and not having any gas in it. You're not going to go anywhere. That's the same thing here. Try to mix any of those colors by not having yellow or red or any one of those, you're going to be in dire straits. You really are. You're not going to be able to utilize that. I can mix any of these colors here. And if you have the right colors, which we went over, you're going to find that you're able to manipulate these colors, the monochromatic color, a lot more. So remember, the three primary colors and the white. The purple is going to be our feature color. Is going to be the main color that we're going to do monochromatic on. Figured I'd use a purple. It's my wife's favorite color. And rather than going with any other color, which I've been using blue a lot, I thought we'd use the purple. Now we're going to do kind of an abstract on this because I just want you to see how to push and pull those colors, that monochromatic color back. Okay? All right, so we're going to be working on shapes. So whatever you see is something that you're starting to visualize and what you're starting to pull out of that. Okay, it's not necessarily anything representational. Kind of like what I did during the lecture, talked about love, hate, despair, all of that, and we're using this to gravitate toward that feel. All right, so we're going to start off with the number 12 filbert and getting my brush stamped up. And so I'm going to go with a straight here of purple, and then what I'm going to do, again, because I really don't want to have, I'm going to add just a bit of its complementary color to this, because I don't want it to be just raw. I started off with the raw color, and then I'm going to come down here and pull some of this up, and now I'm going to place this on. Now I'm using a very, very thin layer of purple. And I'm just pulling this out and up, okay? And yes, it's getting lighter as I come down. Again, we're not talking about painting techniques. We're basically looking at the color in itself. All right, so now I'm going to come in, add a little more yellow to my purple, and add some texture to this. Now, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just showing you color and how to use a monochromatic feel to this. Now, you can see already there is a difference in the purple, okay? And I'm going to add some white here to pull this out. Look at that, huh? And create a texture in the background. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some darks, and I'm going to take this purple and I'm going to add some blues. We're still, I've changed the blue. So what I've done now is I've created a different texture, I mean not texture, but a different type of purple, but it's still in the purple genre. So you can see that I am still utilizing this in the purples. Okay. There we go. And now I'm going to add a little bit of red to that purple. And you can see now how I'm pulling this out. Okay. Now, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a base on here. And I'm going to add some more white to that. Lighten this up. And what you're probably seeing looks like, could be a landscape of some sort. But you can see I've utilized the purples. There are many different purples in which I'm using, but I'm staying in that monochromatic feel. So you can see the depth that I've created using purple, but I've shifted that purple by bringing in reds, by bringing in blues, and even adding the complementary color of yellow to this painting. Again, we're not looking at any kind of style, we're looking at it more of an abstract so you can see how things are being built in a monochromatic style. Just because you're using monochromatic does not mean that you're just using one type of purple. Remember, there are several different arrays of purple. There are dark purples, light purples, there are neutral purples, there are many, many different types. And utilizing those purples will make your painting look much more dynamic and make it look much more exciting. Okay, so let's keep going. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some really darks. But I am not going to use black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, take my blue. I'm going to take my yellow, which now I have green, and now I'm going to bring in the red. That completely neutralizes, look at that black right there. That is an awesome black, okay? So now I can come in here and I can pull some darks up in here. I'll pull some darks up in this area here. Now, originally I thought maybe these might be some gas, but now I think I'm going to make these almost look like maybe, I don't know, something in the distance here, like a monolith or rocks of some sort. There we go. And then I'll bring this down here like this. But utilizing all of these different purples allows me to be able to push and pull these colors in any kind of direction I want. All right, so I know what I'm going to do. Bob Ross has his water. I have my rollerbots. All right, so I'm going to take some yellow and I'm going to pull this down over here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm creating a contrast between the purple and the complementary color, which is yellow. I'm going to take some yellow here. It's contaminated a bit, that's okay. I'm going to take some of my white and lighten this up. And I'm going to make a streak of highlight here. Now what I've done effectively is I've taken that, and now I have taken the complementary color of purple, added a dash of that yellow, and what that does is it creates a sense of contrast, a sense of like draws the viewer in. Now I'm not completely in the center, I'm center and down, so I'm not directly in the center, I'm down here, so I've drawn to this, which creates a sense of curiosity. What is that? Where is that light coming from? Well, you know, it sets a bit of ambiguity of where that is. Now I can lighten that up. I pop that up more and add some white to that, and that'll really make that pop. What is it? We don't know. We don't care. As Bob Ross would say, you can be whatever you want. This is your world. Okay. And I'm going to create some stuff there in the middle. Okay, so now what I'm going to do to make this a little more interesting, I said this was going to be non-representational, but things change. And that's the whole beauty of the arts. You may go in one direction, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to come out in that direction. And I'm putting 2 rollerbots because rollerbots are always in pairs. Okay. Now, to make this look a little more exciting, I'm going to add some yellow and white to the front of this, that they're reflecting light from the front. Which makes it look a little more dynamic. Because now you're drawing the viewer from here and they're looking at something out here. And that's just how we work on monochromatic colors. Now I can keep building this. I can keep going with it. I can continue building the colors, making it more intense, figuring out where I'm going with this, and then start to move into those areas of detail and start pulling things out. But this is a good example of how to utilize monochromatic colors. If this was a blue, I would probably use an orange. Okay, let's go back to Ken Marshall. I know I keep going back to him. So let's take a look at this. See this one here? Notice that it's in blue. Well, look what he has. He has orange in here. That's the complementary color to it. It's a variation of orange, but it's in there. And of course you have the white. But it draws the viewer to exactly where he wants you to go, right to the center of what you are looking at, because he's used the complementary color or the warm color from the opposite side of the spectrum. This makes your monochromatic image look much more dynamic. It makes it look much more interesting and gives it much more flavor. Anyway, I'm getting excited here. Study this, work on it, play with it. So this will give you an idea of how to play and work with monochromatic. Just because you're using something that's going to be monochromatic, add your 3 primary colors and play with them. Bend them, push that blue, push that red, push that green, whichever you're going to be using, and you will find you'll be able to make your painting look much more dynamic. Okay, let's talk a little bit about now what we're going on the next episode. We are now on episode 7, and we're basically halfway through color theory. Well, we've now talked about color theory. We've talked about how they work. We've gone through primary, secondary, monochromatic, analogous colors, and we've kind of talked about how they work, how to play with them, how to manipulate them. And now you have to practice all of this. And the more you practice, the more proficient you're going to be at utilizing these colors. So what do we have coming up on the next episodes? Well, now we turn our attention to the tools of the trade, brushes. Next episode, we are going to be talking about brushes. We'll be talking about the filberts, the flats, the rounds, the brights, even the fan brush. But these are just the minimum brushes. There are many, many other brushes that will go along with this. We'll also be able to go over the differences between the synthetic, the blends, and the naturals. And I'm going to show you why the naturals are the best types of brush. And any professional will tell you you want to go with naturals. Are they much more expensive? They are. They tend to be more expensive. But they have gotten to be cheaper because they're easier to manufacture now. We'll even talk a little bit about the sable brushes and how expensive they are, and more about how they create a different feel. And I'm going to demonstrate those for you so you can see to stay away from all of those synthetic brushes. You don't want to get near them. Stay away from them. They're poison. Yeek! No, stay away. That's going to be on that next episode that we're going to be talking about. The following episode is going to be about acrylics. And I'm going to be talking to you about acrylics and the different types of acrylics, the different series. Because you're going to find that you could take a blue, 2 identical types of tubes of paint, and you'll find that one is $5 and the other one is $45. Why is that? Huh? I'm going to explain that to you. So you're not going in blindly and not knowing what's going on. Okay. As always, may the Lord be with you. And again, practice. Study other videos. Go to other YouTubes. Look at other artists. I'm telling you, get out there and really study. You can learn so much from so many of us out there, okay? I'm giving you a base to work on. So next week, we start working on brushes, and then we go into acrylics, oils, watercolors, and all those mediums. And that will end this season. So you take care, and again we will be with you back next week on this next episode of Artifacts with tools of the trade and brushes. Brushes. That's going to be fun. We'll even talk a little bit of history of brushes. A little bit of history. Yes.
Pantarabamba!